everyone. This video is to provide another overview of the community assessment presentation. Many of you talked about um, attended virtual office to get additional information for this assignment. Again, please consider attending virtual office to discuss and bring any questions that you have about any assignment for this course. Students are welcome to set up meetings with me to discuss any upcoming assignments. It is strongly encouraged that students set up these meetings in advance, well before the assignment is due. Please be advised that waiting until the week that the assignment is due does not give you a lot of time to really put forth your best work in terms of creating a comprehensive assignment. Again, please consider attending virtual office or having someone from your peer support group bring your questions to virtual office if you cannot attend. There are many of you that attended virtual office and obtained feedback and guidance for this assignment, and I appreciate that. And I just want to continue to remind students to attend virtual office to obtain guidance. It's better to have that one-on-one contact, and it's also good to hear questions that other students may have that you may not have thought about. Um, this assignment, as all your assignments, the due dates can be found in your syllabus. A couple of students emailed me about assignment due dates. Please be advised that all your assignments can be found, the due dates for them can be found on your syllabus. This is the current syllabus that's listed to Blackboard right here under week 11, community assignment presentation due November 5th. So the due date for this assignment is listed. Also, if you scroll down to the course calendar, you'll see that under week 11, community assessment presentation is due. As many of you have, as we talked about, and as you know, assignments for this course is due. All the assignments have been due on Thursday. So if you know it's week 11, the assignment due date is Thursday. Again, just to keep the continuity for students and keep the guesswork out, if there is assignment due in a given week, all the assignments for this course, major assignments, have been due on Thursday. So please remember that. We are getting closer to the end of the school year or the semester, and nothing has changed. So please remember, I have not changed any of the days that the assignments are due. They're the same assignments due dates that were listed from the start of the course, and you will see these assignments in your syllabus. So again, do not think you do not have this information. You have the information, it's listed here. Another reminder, even though again we're getting close to the end of the semester, please be sure you read all your announcements. Many of the information that you need that's important that will help you be successful in this course are found in your course announcements. I'm saying that because I'm getting students that are emailing me questions, and the answer to those questions are listed in the announcements. So please take the time before you email me to check your announcements to see if the questions or any answers that you need aren't listed already in your announcements. The good thing about the announcements is one, that they're dated, they're time stamped, but also that they're there for you as a reference. I do realize that I put a lot of information in the course announcements, but I do that intentionally so that you will have it to go refer to it. So again, make sure you can go all the way back to the first week of class and look at all the announcements that is uploaded for this course. And in those assignments, you may have some helpful information that can help guide you through any given week of the course. So please, again, if you're not doing it, make sure you read them thoroughly, and then go backwards and check out some of the ones that were already posted. That is a good place to go for answers to your question. All students are also are in peer groups. At the start of class, I strongly encourage students to use your peer groups. That's what they're there for. If you don't have the answer to a question, maybe one of your group members do. If a couple or one of your group members don't know, see if somebody can be available to attend VO. Again, these are all tools that are put in place to help you, guide you, and to support you while you're in this class. Couple of um, housekeepings related to the assignment I will go over with you now. This assignment is a presentation, community assessment presentation. In week 8, the week that you had your midterm exam, there is a community assessment presentation resource folder. Again, this assignment is due in week 11, and so all the information was posted in this in week 8. So 3 weeks prior to the due date for this assignment, community assessment presentation resources were listed here. Since this week you only had a midterm exam and some required videos, I took the time to add the community assessment presentation resources here. You didn't have a whole week's worth of work in week 8. So therefore, a community assessment presentation was presented in this week because this is a good time for you to start getting an idea of what this assignment entails. So again, this assignment was strategically put in the week 8 midterm week because it wasn't a lot of other additional assignments. In the community assessment presentation um, folder, that's the assignment description here. And here are some key information, census information, video recording options are listed here as well. Some additional information was also added in the census information because some students had some additional information needs, and so I uploaded additional information in the census information folder after virtual office and getting information. So again, please be mindful that the community assessment presentation information assignment was listed well into week 8. This was done so that students can start preparing for the assignment well before the week it was due, which is week 11. This is one opportunity. So students from the time of week 8 should have been attending virtual offices once they seen this assignment in week 8 to answer any questions that they had about this assignment. So again, it was strategically placed very early on so that you can start preparing. This is a comprehensive assignment. It's a fun assignment, I think, but it's very comprehensive. And so, again, this was to get students really thinking well in advance so that they can take their time and prepare. This folder here has video recording options, and we talked about this in virtual office hours. Students should use a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint presentations have a voiceover option, so you should be able to record yourself presenting your PowerPoint presentation. So you should be able to audio record yourself talking through your PowerPoint presentation through the PowerPoint. You can also do things like upload videos in PowerPoint. You can also upload pictures. It really gives you a lot of options and flexibilities to be very creative in the way you present the community that you select. And again, many of you all have talked to me in VO about your ideas, and I was able to really give you some good guidance. But we also have another opportunity in week 10. Last week, students received an option to submit a community assessment draft. This is a one-page draft with headings. The headings should be based on your rubric and the assignment instructions. Under those headings, you can list the content in bullet points in which you plan to cover under each heading of your presentation. Those headings should show themselves in your PowerPoint presentation. And students who have done this, quite a few of you have submitted drafts of your presentation. And I go through each section of that draft and I give you feedback. The only way that I can give you feedback for this assignment is if you put your ideas and the content on a draft. Once I can see what it is you're thinking about presenting and how you're planning to present the information, I can then give you some guidance and tips under each of those sections. So again, to enrich the feedback experience for this assignment, a community assessment draft assignment. It's optional, but strongly recommended. Students who have taken advantage of this option and submitted a draft has has received immediate feedback from me on that project. So again, I'll say this one more time. There is a community assessment draft assignment. It's a one-page draft of the sections that you'll be covering in your presentation and the content that you're listing under that section. It should take a student about 15 to 20 minutes to do that draft. If you upload that draft, I am going and giving each student feedback on their presentation through that through that mechanism. So please consider doing that. There is no due date on that. And the reason being is I didn't want to pressure students with another due date. It's an open assignment. So I will be looking up until the day before the assignment is due to provide student feedback. I would hope that students are not submitting drafts the day before they're due to get feedback. I'm hoping that their assignment is complete by the day before, is my hope, but we'll see. So this is the community assessment document. And so the community assessment document is covering these areas here. And so I will take the time to review it briefly here. This gives you a full description of what a community assessment is. This community assessment assignment is demonstrating your knowledge of week 4. In week 4 in this course, if you all are doing the textbook readings as required, week 4 covers practice skills working with organizations and communities. Again, on Blackboard in week 4, we cover practice skills working with organizations and community. If you've read your chapter, it has information in that chapter on community assessment. So when you saw this assignment, the first thing hopefully you thought of is, oh, we covered community assessments in week 4. You can always refer to your readings in week 4 as it covers this, okay? And definitely the skills that you want to think about and concepts that you want to apply. So as I stated at the start of class, every assignment that you're given is meant to measure your understanding of the reading. So for this assignment, it is measuring your understanding of your week 4 content for practice skills working with um, organizations and communities. And so it goes over, it gives you a brief overview of the assignment up into here. Okay. So the components of the assignment, right? Students are given a detailed description of and written guide to the assignment. This is the guide here. The guide utilized by the authors includes the components of the community observation, part 1, analysis of census material, interviews with key informants, summary analysis, and giving back. So, and again, Kirst Ashman and Hall is your textbook articles, but this is an earlier version of the textbook. So, if you're going to submit a community assessment draft, your draft should have your community observation, which is a heading that you're supposed to be covering under your presentation. So one of your headings should say community observation, and then you should put bullet points on the information that you're covering under the community observation. Second heading in your draft, if you should decide to do it, analysis of census and population, that should be the second heading. This is your draft that you're submitting to me for feedback. Heading 3, interviews with key informants, should be your third heading. Heading 4, summary analysis, and heading 5, giving back. And under each of these headings in your draft, you should be using bullet points to say what you're planning to cover. So you should have bullet points showing the content that you're covering under community observation, bullet points showing the content you plan to cover under analysis of census and population material. 3, interviews with key informants, bullet points demonstrating interviews with key informants. And 4, summary analysis, and then the content bullet points showing the content that you're supposed to cover there, and same with giving back. Students who have done this and submitted this draft to me, I went in and I provided them with guidance and feedback on their assignments under these key sections. Once I see what it is you're thinking about, how you're thinking about presenting your ideas, that is the best way for me to guide your ideas and guide your thoughts about the assignments. But you need to give me something first in which for me to comment on. So the community observation, again, I'm not going to go over this in detail. You can take your time and go back and look. But what I want you to understand here, a community assessment is just you're using the skills of an assessment in general as social work practice. So when you're thinking about doing an assessment, let's not think about a community right now. Think about doing an assessment with an individual. What are you observing? What are you seeing when a client comes into your field agency, or a client, you're working with a client? What are you observing? What are their race? What is their ethnicity? What is their gender? What is their spirit? What is their spirituality? What is their sexual orientation? What are their gender identity? What are the observations? What are their socioeconomic status? What are their family of origins? Who are their support systems? What are their resources? Where do they work? When you think about what are you assessing in an individual, you're using those same skills with the community. So you're starting off here with a community observation. So instead of observe, what are you observing from an individual? Are they upset? Do they seem emotional? Do they seem engaged in your interview with them, for example? Instead of doing it with an individual, you're doing it with the community. So this section here, community observation, requires you to understand what do you observe of that community. So this should be a rich discussion of your observations of a community. What do you see in that environment? This discussion should include all of the important things, the geographic features of that um, community. So when you think about observing a community, similar to if you were observing an individual, you want to know what are the stores, what are the parks, what are the playgrounds, how many, or are there a lot of schools? What type of schools? Are there little schools? What do you see? Do you see blight? Do you see homelessness? Do you see poverty? What are your observations? So this should be a rich understanding of what you observed in that community. Okay, what is the transportation like? Is there transportation? Is it rural? Is it urban? Use rich adjectives to describe your observation of that community. For some of you all who submitted draft, I didn't see a lot of detail here, but this is really a rich observation. What do you see about this community? What is the makeup of this community, gender wise? What do you see? What is the cultural makeup of the community? Do you find that what is the racial composition? All these are things that are observable. How many mosques? How many churches? What type of religious organizations are there? That's what you're looking here. So community observation is just a understanding of what do you see in this community? How many grocery stores do you feel it's a food desert? For example. Section 2, analysis of census and population material. This is the data. This is where you are combing through different key resources to understand. Now, if you were doing this with an individual, you may do a screen, a postpartum, a depression screen, a postpartum depression, and an anxiety scale. And that is giving you data. That's giving you a statistical score in which to apply. So when you're assessing somebody, you're observing them when they come to see you, but then you may also do a screen or a scale with them that will give you a number. So let's say a client comes in your office and you observe with your eyes that they seem depressed, they seem flat, they seem sad, or they're crying. So based on those observation of that client, you may decide that you want to do a depression screen. My observation says they appear to be sad or depressed or withdrawn or flat. They've communicated this to me in our discussion, perhaps. But now let me now go a step further and provide some kind of data that's going to confirm whether what I'm seeing is correct. So with an individual, you may then do a screen. So for this part, when you're talking about analysis of census and population material, based on your observation of the community and what you see will inform what type of data sources you're going to look for, similar to if you were doing an assessment of an individual. So for instance, if you see homelessness there's a large homeless population, you might want to go look up unemployment data. If you see that there's a lot of abandoned buildings in a given area, you might want to look up housing data. So some students have asked me questions such as, well, I don't know what information you want me to look for. Well, I don't know what information you need to be looking for because I don't know what your observations is yielding. So your observation should be guiding the type of information that you're gathering. And I hope that makes sense. If your observation shows that there's not a lot of grocery stores, There's not a lot of if you feel that the community that you're observing is a food desert, you might want to look up data that talks about or that be able to give you information on the type of the nutrition, the quality of nutrition in that given community. You might want to look at the stores, how many, you may want to do a data search and check how many grocery stores is in that given area geographic wise. If you find that it's a that there's not a lot of nutritious options, if we feel that there, you see that there's a lot of fast food restaurants, for example, you might want to identify or do some data on what is the obesity rates in that community. One area that I'm also telling students that they may want to look at is what's the health status of the community. Um, Another thing that you might want to observe is how many gyms, are in a given area as well. And so sometimes getting statistics on health status of an area may also help you understand what it is you're seeing. So right now, I've just covered these two areas: community observations and analysis of census and population information. You see here that your observations are going to inform the data sources that you're going to look up. So again, every section of this assignment feeds off of one another. So it's an assessment. Once you gather one information, now you're using that information to set you on the path to the additional information that you need to collect. Okay. If your observation here is that you notice that it's a community that has there's a high racial or spiritual, like it may be a highly concentrated Muslim community or Catholic based community, so then maybe you might want to understand, what are the how many families or individuals in that particular area from the census identify as being Christian or Catholic or Muslim. So again, or do you see in your observation that it may be a racially or ethnic heavily populated area? If that's the case, you might want to verify that data from your observation with some of the census material. What does the census data show you in that given area, the percentage of people of color, African Americans, Hispanic, um, Asian Americans, for example? So again, based on what your observations are showing you, will also inform you to how do you confirm those observations with the data, okay? So again, I'm making parallels to an individual assessment to a community assessment so that you understand that you're using the same skills, but you're doing it more in a macro level. And you're using those assessments. Again, that was covered in week 4. Interviewing with key informants. This follows section 1 and section 2. Why? Based on your community observation, that's going to lead to the data that you're looking into to further confirm those observations, or data may fill in gaps. You may observe things that are clear to you, but there may be things that are not clear to you, and then the data may be able to fill out those gaps and things that aren't clearly observable. Your key informants are going to link to your observations and your analysis. So, for instance, as I stated earlier, let's say that you noticed during your observation that your population is a largely Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx population, for an example. You then may do an analysis of census material to understand the percentage of Hispanic people that are in there so that you will know and have that percentage clear with the statistics. You might want to understand through the analysis of the census and the population how many members of the population speak Spanish for their primary language or first language or not. But here, you want to make sure your interview with your key informant may be a Hispanic person, right? You want to make sure that the key informant makes sense based on your observation and the data. Or you may notice that, for instance, a particular community may be heavily Muslim, a strong Muslim community, a lot of Muslim members of that community. Then your key informant may be an imam or a leader of a mosque. that may help you understand your observations of the community, may also help your what you understand about the spiritual, how many mosques, how many churches are in that given area based on the data that you've collected. So here your key informant needs to make sense based on your assessment. So everything is aligned and connected with one another. So for instance, let's say your observation is of a home, you see a lot of homeless, abandoned buildings in your community assessment. Then you may want to again look up homelessness statistics in that area. You may want to get an understanding of employment statistics in that area, because employment is a big factor for homelessness. But then you may want to think about interviewing a an administrator, a social worker from a homeless shelter to better understand what it is you're seeing, especially if your observation is showing you that there's a lot of homeless shelters, or it could be a lot of um, substance abuse and recovery facilities in that particular area. So again, your key informant has to make sense based on your observation and the data that you've collected. Summary analysis. Now this is you putting everything together. This is understanding. You're giving me now an analysis based on the assets of the community, resources in the community. You want to also, again, show and demonstrate to me you understand the strengths of that community, the needs of that community, and you're tying in your observations here. You're making conclusions here, and it's being drawn from your data that you've collected up until this point. So again, what are the needs in the area? What are the strengths of the area? And then now you're synthesizing all the data that you're collected in your analysis. Now, the giving something back section is aligned with your analysis. So based on your analysis and your understanding, by the time you get here, you should have a firm understanding of that community. This is your assessment results. Okay, this is the summary of your assessment here of the community. And now you're giving something back should align with the needs. So, for instance, if you notice that there's a lot of homelessness, you may want to give something back that includes, you may want to do a clothing drive and donate it to a shelter. You may want to do a food drive, and donate canned goods to the shelter. Um, Whatever you're giving back is, it must be aligned to your observations, the data, and the information you got from your key informant, which will basically be the summary and your analysis of your understanding. So if I'm hoping that you're starting to get a sense here that this assignment builds, each section builds, it's an assessment. And the giving something back would probably look more like your intervention if you were working with an individual, but you're not. So it's how would you give something back? How would you address the need? And again, everything needs to be aligned. And so for this particular assignment, if you can now get a better understanding of what is expected from this assignment, the best way for me as an instructor to give you feedback is for you to give me an idea of what you're putting down in these sections. Rather than talking to students about it, I need to really help guide you and help foster those skills that you're supposed to learn in week 4, or understand at least in week 4. Okay. And so, in order for me to help do that, and as each of you all have different areas that you're assessing, my goal here is to see how you plan on the content that you're planning to present for this assignment, how you plan to present your ideas, and how these ideas are building off each other's. That's why the community assessment draft is important. It allows me to actually see and understand how you're conceptualizing the information. And the last thing you need to know, which I think is very important for this assignment, is how you're going to go about uploading it. So use either a I'm sorry, a drive such as a Google Drive. You can use Dropbox. You can use any type of software that's going to create a link for your document. And the reason why I say this is you will not be uploading a PowerPoint presentation to this assignment. Once you start recording your voice over the slides, the amount of data that that PowerPoint is going to take will not upload most likely to Blackboard. Instead, I need a shareable link. So think about using your Google Drives, upload the PowerPoint to the drive and create a shareable link. Or think about Dropbox. Dropbox is free. You can probably upload the PowerPoint to Dropbox and then be able to create a link. If you want to do it through Google and any type of other software that I don't know about, that's perfectly fine, but you need a shareable link. The shareable link will not take up the data space required in Blackboard to upload this assignment. So when the assignment is due, which is November 5th, you will be using Blackboard. Once you go into the assignment, you will post the link. Usually you'll see an area where you can provide the instructor, myself, feedback or comments. You can send me information. You can usually use that section, which is what most students do, to upload the link for the assignment. So there's a part in Blackboard where you can write a comment to me as you upload. You can upload an assignment, a paper, and then you can write a little note to me. That's where you put the link. The reason why I need the link is because one, your ability to upload the assignment will be improved. Students who have tried to upload this assignment as a PowerPoint, they get all kinds of error message in Blackboards because it's too big. When you go to send me the link, make sure that you can open up the link yourself before you send it to me. Sometimes students send me links where I don't have the ability to view it. So if you're going to use any of these other formats, be sure that you send the link to somebody else or test the link out to make sure that it's viewable. If you send me a link and I can't view the assignment, I can't grade it. So again, make sure you double test the link to make sure that you can open it. The reason why the link is important is because I will have a discussion board that I'm going to create where the links for each individual student, you're going to upload your link to a discussion board as well. So you'll be uploading a link for the assignment, which I'm going to use to grade. So when you see the assignment come up in week 11, you upload your assignment there. That's how I'm going to grade it. I'm going to create a discussion board, which is going to be separate, where students are going to upload the link to their presentation. The reason why I want you to do this is that I'm going to have other students review your presentation and be able to give you comment and feedback on your assessment. So that is why you're not uploading the PowerPoint, you're uploading a link to that PowerPoint. I hope this video helps give you some more clarity and guidance for this assignment. Please understand that this assignment is supposed to measure week 4. So when you get this assignment, or when this assignment was provided to you back in week 8, students are supposed to already be somewhat familiar with community assessments through their um, readings and assignments covered in week 4. Again, I'm going to repeat this again. This assignment, community assessment, the information was already covered in week 4. So when you saw this assignment saying community assessment, you should know that it was already covered. What a community assessment, the content was already provided with you, one in your readings, and then in week 8, more in-depth information was provided to help guide you with your presentation. Um, Please, again, I strongly encourage all students to upload a draft if you want feedback. If you feel this video is enough to get you started and you can move forward, that's fine too. But that is why I am using that draft to upload feedback or provide you with feedback, because it helps me see how you're thinking about the presentation, and I'm able to help guide you. And I can also tell you, based on the area that you're covering or you're assessing, I can give you some feedback on some things that you may not have thought about. Again, this is your assessment. Your observations is going to drive the rest of the assignment. Your observations are going to help you with the other key parts of this assignment. So again, it builds off of each other. Again, I hope this was very helpful. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions, additional questions. Make sure you look at the announcements as well. Thank you.